Hi students, today our topic is diabetes mellitus. We all of us are very well known about this disease, means which in our own language we will call this as a sugar. So means increasing of the glucose levels, that is sugar levels in our blood. So when compared to all the other diseases, the most common diseases other than hypertension is diabetes mellitus in our country. So what is diabetes mellitus? It is a disorder which is characterized by hyperglycemia, means increased glucose levels. This increased glucose levels is due to defective release of insulin, means abnormal release of the insulin. This hyperglycemia may also occurs due to overproduction of some hormones like glucagon and adrenal hormones, or any overactivity of the insulinase enzyme. So these are the enzymes, means these are the hormones which causes the overproduction of which causes the hyperglycemia. Generally this diabetes mellitus occurs at not in a particular age. It can also occur in adult age, or it can also occur in children also. That is we call it as a juvenile diabetes. And here this is if you see this, if you go for the normal blood sugar levels, it may vary throughout the day. Means why it is varying means based on the intake of the food. When we take food, there is an absorption of the glucose from the food what we take. So then there is a different fasting levels, means different glucose levels. Immediately after eating there will be different glucose levels, and after 2 to 3 hours of the eating there will be different levels. So based on these variations, these are the normal values, means normal, impaired glucose and diabetic patient. These are the values. These values may range, means may vary. And here age and sex related variations is mainly observed in this blood glucose levels. Means we have to consider age and as well as sex. And if you go for the classification, there are mainly diabetes is classified as primary and secondary type. If you see this primary type, it is also known as idiopathic diabetic mellitus. And the most common types we know about is type 1, type 2 and gestational diabetes. But there are some other diabetes mellitus also, that but very less common types. Okay, if you see what is primary diabetes mellitus means, usually the cause of this type of diabetes mellitus is unknown, but further it is divided as a type 1 diabetes mellitus, means which we call that as a insulin dependent or juvenile onset diabetes mellitus. Is it clear? Type 1 diabetes means it is insulin dependent or juvenile onset diabetes mellitus. Here this is caused by absolutely insulin deficiency, and it is often seen in patients below 40 years of age. Here the cells of pancreas are not able to secrete insulin, means enough amount of the insulin is not able to secreted by the pancreas, and it may these secretions may be very low and insufficient to reduce them. So what is the normal action of insulin? The normal action of insulin is to reduce the blood glucose levels, to have the control over the glucose levels in our body. What happens in the type 1? There is these pancreas are the place where insulins are secreted. Here there is a decreased secretion of due to the decreased secretion of the insulin, there we can see the insufficient reduction of the blood glucose levels. So the exact cause is not known, but it may be contribute to the destruction of the beta cells of islets of Langerhans, or any genetic susceptibility, or there may be certain viruses or chemicals or environmental toxins also involved in this condition. So the next one is type 2 diabetes mellitus. We can call this as adult diabetes or non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Here 90% of the most of the diabetes are contribute to this type of diabetes. In this, the pancreas continue to produce insulin, means it continuously produces insulin, but the secretion is delayed. Insulin secretion is delayed, or maybe the peripheral tissues may develop resistance to the secreted insulin. Is it clear? Pancreas continuously produces insulin, but the secretion is delayed, or peripheral tissues may develop the resistance to the secreted insulin. So this disease may occur at any age. As I told, that type 1 may occur below the 40 years of age, but type 2 may occur at any age, most commonly above the 40 years of age. And here, as I told, in the type 1, most cause is due to the destruction of the beta cells, islets of Langerhans, or genetic susceptibility, or any viruses or chemicals, etc. But here it may contribute to the genetic makeup, family history, or obesity, or any defect in the insulin receptors. These are the most involved mechanism in this type 2. And if you see here, this type 1 and type 2 diabetes, collectively we call this as a clinical diabetes mellitus. These both together we call that as clinical diabetes mellitus. And here we can see these are the very less common type of primary diabetes mellitus. If we see here, the potential diabetes mellitus means here it includes a person. If a person with a normal glucose, but person is having the normal glucose levels, but he is having a family history of the diabetes. So in this case, there is a chances of age related occurrence of the diabetes mellitus is very high, and usually recommended for the diet control for avoiding the precipitating factors. So this is about the potential diabetes. And if we see latent diabetes mellitus, we can observe in such cases the person may show a diabetic type, but there is no elevation of the blood glucose levels. But if we test for the glucose levels, there is no elevation of the glucose levels, but here the person may show the symptoms or any type of the related to diabetes. And the next one is gestational diabetes. We know that it is a temporary elevation of the blood glucose levels which we observe in the gestational period, and which it is automatically disappeared. And the non-pharmacological measure to control this hyperglycemia is the best way of the management in this type of diabetes. And the next one, which is the last one, is asymptomatic diabetes mellitus. In this, the glucose tolerance curve reverses to the diabetic patient, but actual clinical symptoms are absent. Means patient is experiencing with the glucose tolerance curve is present in the patient, but the symptoms are absent. So these are the very minor types of the diabetes mellitus, which are an indication of the occurrence of diabetes mellitus in future. And if you see the secondary type of diabetes mellitus, it is a minor type of diabetes, and it have definite cause of hyperglycemia. That is, what is this definite cause means? Damage to pancreas or pancreatic disorders, that is pancreatitis, or role of insulin, that is excess of growth hormone, or inhibition of the insulin secretion, that is example excess of this inhibition of the insulin secretion. And these are the common causes of the secondary type of diabetes mellitus. So as I told you that destructive pancreatic diseases, that is hemochromatosis, pancreatectomy, chronic pancreatitis, these are the diseases which is related to the pancreas. And endocrine diseases like acromegaly, Cushing syndrome, hyperthyroidism, and glucagonoma. These are the related to endocrine diseases, and drugs like thiazides, diuretics, propranolol and phenothiazines are the drugs which causes the diabetes, secondary type of diabetes mellitus. And some genetic syndromes like Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, glucagon storage disease type 1, Refsum syndrome. These are the some genetic syndromes which causes the secondary type of diabetes mellitus. And if we see symptoms like common clinical features, or we can call that as signs and symptoms. Here if you observe, diabetes mellitus is not a single disease, but it is also associated with a number of diseases and some other complications. So delayed treatment or untreated patients can easily develop various complications. So there are certain differences in appearance and severity of manifestations, but most common symptoms occurs is reduced secretion of insulin, which leads to increased blood glucose levels, that is blood sugar levels, and we can call glucosuria. Glucosuria means nothing but excretion of the elevated sugar in urine. Means in urine we can see the increased amount of the sugar levels. And the next one is polyuria. Polyuria means nothing but when we are able to observe excessive amount of glucose in the urine, that is sugar in the urine. In response to that glucosuria, kidney excrete additional water to dilute the excessive glucose. Is it clear? We are seeing excessive amount of sugar in the urine. So to have control over that, kidney will excrete additional water to dilute that urine which is containing with the excess amount of sugar. So the sugar is balancing with the water which is excreted by the kidney. So this condition is called polyuria. And the next one is polydipsia. Due to excessive urination, it creates an abnormal increase in the thirst. Means as the kidney excrete more amount of the water from the body may be dehydrated. So there is the patient may feel increased thirst, which we call that as a polydipsia. And here we can observe excessive loss of calories in the urine, which results in the weakness and weight loss. And polyphagia, nothing but due to the loss of energy, which in turn causes excessive hunger. And symptoms like nausea, blurred vision, drowsiness, renal failure also, and fatigue. These are the other symptoms which we observe in the diabetes mellitus. If we see for complications, some of the complications includes related to the eye or related to blood etc. So what are these symptoms means? Atherosclerosis including peripheral and coronary blood vessels, and hyperglycemia induced cataract, swings in the blood pressure, that is especially persistent systolic hypertension, and altered gastrointestinal function, impaired WBC function, which leads to increased susceptibility to other various infections, and deep infections like diabetic ulcers, especially on foot with poor healing. These are the other complications which we observe in the diabetes mellitus. Okay, if we see about pathophysiology, what is the pathophysiology involved here? Before going to pathophysiology, let me say a few points about insulin. What is the function of insulin? What is insulin? Okay, insulin means it is a major metabolism in our body which regulating the hormones that are secreted by the beta cells of islets of Langerhans of pancreas. The pancreas contains beta cells of islets of Langerhans. From these islets of Langerhans, beta cells secretes the insulin. So the major mechanism means it regulates the hormones. So and the other function is it counters the action of number of hyperglycemia generating hormones. Means in our body there are other other hormones which regulating the hyperglycemia. Means I already told glucagon. I previously explained about 2-3 terms about that. So there are some other areas which produces the glucose. So for the regulation of those hormones, it counters the action of that hormones, and it maintains the low blood glucose levels. So here the insulin helps insulin helps to control the blood glucose levels by signaling we can see the liver. This is the muscle and fat cells, and this is the pancreas where the insulin is secreted. So this insulin helps to control the blood glucose levels by signaling the liver, muscle and fat cells to take in the glucose from blood. This is the blood vessels. These organs will take the glucose from the blood. So these are the glucose present in the liver, muscles and fat is totally controlled by this insulin. So here if you see here, this is the stomach. After the carbohydrates we intake, means the food what we intake, the digestive enzymes present in the food will digest the food and the glucose is released into the blood. So after glucose is released into the blood, that glucose is intaken by the liver, muscles and fat cells, that is adipose tissue. So if you observe here, so what happens, this is the normal function, and what happens in the diabetes condition means here the insulin helps cells to take glucose used for the energy. If the body has a sufficient energy, insulin signals the livers to take up glucose and store it as a glycogen. So in liver the glucose is stored in the form of glycogen. If when body is not having sufficient energy, or when we are in case of starvation or fasting, then the liver will release the energy, that is nothing but glucagon. So this glucagon produces the energy to our body. So for that future purpose, liver stores glucagon. And so here as I told you, the glucose enters into the blood and which is taken up by the liver, muscle and adipose tissue. Due to the defective beta cell secretion in the pancreas, insulin fails to control the amount of glucose in these organs. Generally insulin main function is to have control over these organs. What the purpose of controlling these organs means to control the intake of the glucose. So when it fails to control, there is an excessive amount of the glucose in these organs, and which leads to the hyperglycemia. Due to this hyperglycemia, it results in the resistance of action of insulin. Is it clear? The simple mechanism is, insulin main function is to have control over the glucose. Here the insulin fails to control these organs, so there is an increased uptake of the glucose from the blood to the liver, muscles and adipose tissue. So after that it shows the resistance to the insulin. Liver shows the excessive glucose production and muscle shows the reduced glucose uptake, and there is an excessive lipolysis. So this is about the pathophysiology of the diabetes mellitus. And here the next one is diagnosis. In diagnosis, if we see the elevated blood sugar level, that is hyperglycemia, is a fundamental basis for the diagnosis, and regular checkup of the fasting postprandial, that is after eating, is the standard method of diagnosis. And random blood glucose levels which is having above 250 mg per dl is an indication of the diabetes mellitus. And urine test means which we test for the presence of glycosuria, means presence of glucose in the urine is also used to diagnose the diabetes mellitus. But the diagnosis is not based on not only the urine test, but there there are chances of the some positive and negative results. And in addition to this, the diabetic glucosuria is differentiated from the elementary glucosuria. So means and the test for the ketone bodies in the urine, that is ketonuria, we call this a test for ketone bodies, is used to assess the severity of diabetes mellitus. These ketone bodies are used to assess the severity of the diabetes mellitus, and we know that oral glucose tolerance test is one of the reliable tests for the diabetes mellitus, and which is also important test. And HbA1c level, which is glycosylated hemoglobin, used to test the diabetes. And the next one, if you go for the treatment, our main objective of the treatment is to maintain the blood glucose levels within the normal range, and not to result the hypoglycemia, means to maintain the normal range. So the non-pharmacological measures like weight control, exercise, dietary modifications like high protein and low carbohydrate and fat diet, or regular physical exercises are more useful to control the disease. And oral hypoglycemic agents like biguanates, that is metformin, and insulin secretase, that is sulfonylureas. Sulfonylureas means tolbutamide, chlorpropamide, tolazamide, glipizide, glimepiride and glyburide. These are the some of the drugs. And non-sulfonylureas like meglitinides. And if we see alpha glucosidase inhibitors, that is acarbose, and thiazolidinediones, that is pioglitazone and rosiglitazone. These are the drugs which are used to treat the diabetes. These are the oral anti-diabetic drugs, that is oral hypoglycemic agents used to give in case of type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So continuous monitoring of the blood and urine glucose levels during the treatment is very essential part of the management, and these results indicate the appropriate change. If you see here, insulin replacement therapy, we all know that the insulin replacement therapy, some patients may require drugs and some patients may require insulin replacement therapy. So what are the insulin therapy means? Rapid acting, analog, short acting, intermediate acting and extended long acting, and premixed insulin. These are the types of insulin therapies availed. And what is the method of injecting the insulin therapies means? Patients may use the insulin syringe, insulin pens, jet injectors and insulin pumps. Means without the help of anyone, patients itself they'll take the insulin to the stomach, so as per their requirement. So patients are well educated in case of diabetes mellitus regarding their drugs. And here if you see, if the patient is having the overdose of insulin, or if there occurs a hypoglycemic, then patient may experience sudden hunger, headache, confusion, or their mental status will be altered, anxiety, sweating. These are the symptoms which occurs in case of overdose of insulin. And if it is untreated, means untreated hypoglycemia can cause a permanent brain damage and can also occurs hypoglycemic coma. And if you go for what is a balanced diet in the diabetes mellitus, they should not eat high levels of fat or cholesterol, and they have to avoid sweet foods like chocolates, cake or sweet creams, etc., because they rise the levels of triglycerides in our body. And do not use excessive oil for cooking. Fried, boiled or steamed food is to be eaten, and use of oils or colors to be avoided for making sweets. Excessive use of these items will result in the formation of triglycerides, as I told. And alcohol should be avoided, because excess alcohol intake can again result in the insulin action. And artificial sweeteners like aspartame and saccharin are available if it is safe, and it can be considerably taken in the specific quantities. Means instead of taking sugar, that is sucrose, artificial sweeteners like aspartame is preferred in patients with the diabetes. So this is about the diabetes.